Hi, my name's Amanda and I'm a mixed media artist, and I also love being out and about in the garden. The reason why I started the Creative Gardener YouTube channel was to show the types of things I enjoyed doing in my garden, and it incorporated growing stuff from seeds, growing things without chemicals, organically, and then the very process of growing something from scratch and watching it develop, watching it mature, and know that whatever you grow, be it food or flowers, I mean the foods would have a beneficial impact on your body, and being organic, then you know what you're putting in it because you're not putting any chemicals in. You're making your own compost, you're enriching the soil, and you know exactly what is going into it. And so that was something that I wanted to share. I wanted to share some of the stuff that I was finding out, and especially being in the Caribbean, it was a lot of the things that I would grow as a, house plant, I was then able to grow as an outdoor plant. And so this is my journey into the wilderness, but into the garden, where you will see me grow as I said, you'll see me grow seeds, cuttings, plants that I buy, cuttings that I've got from friends, and you'll see how they develop, how they grow, the things that I've had successes with, the things that I'm trying to. The thing that really interests me about growing is the impact that food, and good food, and food without chemicals can have on our bodies. Being in Barbados, Barbados is currently one of the countries, alongside Japan, that has the highest percentage of elderly people of 100. And so that got me thinking, what is it that these men and women are doing to enable them to live to 100, and the majority of them, or a large percentage of them, have no kind of, illnesses or diseases such as dementia, and they all kind of talk about the hard work, food, the bush tea, things like fish, the type of diet they have. So they talk about the diet, exercise, and a healthy lifestyle. And so that got me thinking, if we could recreate some of the things that our grandparents and great-grandparents were eating, then how can we impact on the next generation that is coming along, that is having diseases like dementia, high blood pressure, diabetes? How can we impact using food? I studied complementary therapies, and we looked at the biochemistry of the body, nutritional biochemistry. I looked at the pathophysiology, how the body is made up, the cells, the chemicals in the body, how food, we can eat certain foods and the chemicals how they react on a cellular level. And I did components of nutrition, and that's what really got me interested in looking at how food affects. My mum is currently living with dementia, and for about between 15 and 17 years I was one of her main carers, and that really impacted on my life, my family's life. It wasn't easy, and we saw how dementia, Alzheimer's, robbed my mum of being able to connect as she used to with family and friends. And then that also got me thinking about, well, more recently, if I grew my own food and it was nutrient rich, how would that affect my body compared to going to the supermarket and buying something that's been shipped from, thousands of miles away, held in a storage container, held in on a nice box container, and then put in the supermarkets in cold storage and then brought out. Things that are force riped, things that are, how would that impact on my body? And then, thinking about how if we eat food in its more natural state and you remove processed foods from your body, how then can you improve your health? What impact would that have? So rather than going to the supermarket, being able to pick the food, so that's where the growing came into it. And because I'm an artist, I'm not only looking at, okay, I'm going to plant something and grow it, it's where do I place this plant? How does it visually look? How pleasing to the eye? What other senses can be impacted? So the sense of smell, the sight, so the scents and aromas from different plants and flowers, the colours, and then we've got the taste when we taste the food, when we touch different plants, how does that impact? Some have fine hairs on it that are very prickly, or the defense mechanisms used by some plants like the lemon tree, and the spines on that. And so that kind of sparked my creative side, that how can I create an environment that impacts all the senses? And then listening, like now, as the sun is setting, we've got all the night choruses, the crickets, the tree frogs, the birds, and all those different sounds that you can hear that impact on our moods and health and well-being. And just being able to listen, even the plane, you don't hear it all the time, but coupled with the Caribbean sounds that you can, it just then becomes part of the experience. So that's how, the creative gardener, well, that's how I see it. And I'm being bitten up by mosquitoes out here. But even that's an experience. You have to learn to live with them. I don't want to put loads of chemicals on myself, but then there are plants that you can grow that deter them. So it's looking at all of that, and that's how I want to share and use the space and encourage others. It doesn't matter where you are, if I can share my experience and encourage you in wherever you are. I mean, you might not have, open space, a garden, and but you might have a balcony, and you might be able to do something there. Something with, some pot plants, and grow, or indoor plants. So there's lots of plants which you can, from here, you can have indoors. So that's where I was thinking, what I was thinking about the creative gardener. In marrying the two, my creativity and looking at things that I can make from nature. So, looking at the banana leaf and being able to create different things, inks and colours from certain plants, to use, the wood and create from it, taking it back into the studio, but also showing you how, looking at the different plants and showing you how things are grown. So it's like kind of a really back to nature adventure. So I've been gardening for I would say about 20 years. I started off, well, more than that, say 25 years. I started off with just some pot plants, and I saw how, with care and nurturing, I could impact the growth of the plants. And then when I moved and got married, I had like a 100-foot garden, and I spent 13 years working on my garden. It was just mainly flowers. We had a fruit tree, but I spent 13 years just growing and planting and changing the environment. And I had to, it was an Australian palm, cordyline, Australasis or something like that, but it was a cordyline of that family, and it grew beautifully, and it sat at the end of the garden, and it had beautiful little white flowers that came out, and then when the breeze would blow, it would blow it into the house past it, and they smelled like jasmine. And it was just like, it really got me thinking about how we can impact our environment. So coming here now, I had a smaller space, say 9 foot by 3 foot. I had a 9 foot by 3 foot gravel space, and I just started growing herbs like broadleaf thyme, rosemary, and the lemon tree that I now have. And I loved the little space. It was just like, you know, I just made do with what I had. I knew that I wanted greenery around me, and I knew that I wanted things that would smell nice. And that's what I've always done. And so I know what it's like to have a small space. I know what it's like to have no space, a balcony. I know what it's like now to have a bigger space, and to learn how to be more adventurous in terms of your ideas. So some of the things that I'm hoping to grow here, loads of fruit trees, some trees like the ylang-ylang tree, but you're going to see all of that, and I'm really excited to have you along on the journey. So as I learn, I'm going to share, and the more experience I get, you know, I'm hoping to share that as well.